Hi, everybody. Kira and Deana here from Raising Adults podcast, and we're here with our video show notes from the episode we just did on building community for your family and for your children. And we wanted to just highlight some of what we chatted about there. But before we do that, I want to make sure you know that our attribute of the month this month is initiative. So we'll be talking all about how do you help foster in your children this idea of intrinsic motivation, and when you see something that needs to be done, you're just going to go and take care of it. So if you would like to sign up for that and haven't already, you can find it at futurefocusedparenting.com and just hover over the shop tab. It's a great newsletter full of ideas, activities, resources, you name it. So we're going to take the initiative now and tell you a little bit about the community episode.
Yeah, so we talked a lot about how you create community if maybe you don't have a naturally built-in one, whatever that looks like, and how everybody's a little different about what they feel comfortable in terms of building community, extroverts versus introverts. So one of the things I talked about was the idea of chosen family. My family, is me, my kids, my husband, and my dad, and then that's it for what we have locally. The rest of our family is all in the UK and in Canada. So for us, we had to build a chosen family here in Seattle, and so our kids have a lot of aunties and uncles. You're looking at an auntie right here. They have some surrogate grandparents. They have people in their lives that are close with us who are invested in them, who have said, we want to be a part of your kids' upbringing. We want them to know that there are people they can go to that aren't just mom and dad, because that puts a lot of pressure on parents that they are the be-all, end-all. We want other adults in their life that they can go to if they just want to vent about me, or if they want to ask a second opinion about something. Maybe what they're hearing from us doesn't resonate. They want to get another opinion. These grown-ups in their lives that they trust, that we trust like family, become your chosen family.
So great. We also talked a little bit about how there's different spheres of your life that can be a nice built-in source of community. It might be school. If you operate with a faith paradigm, it might be your church or synagogue or mosque. It can be extended family if they're around. It can be your chosen family, like Kira mentioned. And then there's even just wider things like maybe community centers that offer activities, or maybe you're in a book club or something. But another really important thing to think about with that is even if you're plugged in with one of those spheres, it doesn't mean that there's going to be that exact niche thing that's for you. And so we talked a little bit about not being afraid to create that.
Showing initiative.
Showing initiative, that's right. Go make it happen. So the example that I shared in today's episode was about the blended family group that my husband and I lead at our church. When we initially started going to our church, they had this huge pamphlet of all the groups that were available, and we're flipping through it, like, there's nothing quite for us that matches what we're dealing with as a step family, with all those complexities of visitation and ex-spouses and all of that. And so we decided to just put it out there, talked with the church, would you be open to a blended family group, a group that could walk through this together? And what was so great about this is we specifically were hoping for 2 couples because we were nervous about like one-on-one and the awkwardness, and we got 9 on that first night, and we still lead that group 4.5 years later. So it really was a huge blessing to us. But here's why I talked about it, is because Kira mentioned this extrovert and introvert dichotomy. And for extroverts, it might be a little easier to intentionally go and meet people or just put yourself out there. But we talked about this idea of creating an event, and it can be a lot less threatening than an in-person, in-your-face, would you like to go have coffee, where there's maybe this risk for rejection. So when we just were able to add our group to the list in this Mondo pamphlet, it was like, there it is, it's available, but it wasn't threatening and it wasn't scary, and we just hoped people would come, and they did. And what Kira added to that, which I just thought was so beautiful but accurate, is also when you're hosting a larger gathering, it gives you a lot of options. You have people to choose from then, whereas in a one-on-one, not only could that be a little bit intimidating for someone who's more introverted, if you end up not hitting it off, then you don't have all these other choices. Where in a group setting, you give yourself lots of options for building community.
Yeah, one of the things I've done, because we don't have a church or a faith paradigm, but I've hosted a parents' night out for the parents of the class my kids are in every year. It gives me an opportunity to meet the parents, gives them an opportunity to meet each other, because the truth is we are in a long haul together. They're going to be at school together for a long time. This is going to be their community. It's going to be my community. I want to get to know as many people as I can and find my people so that, again, my kids have their people and I have my people, and it forms this great sense of community.
Yeah, such a great idea. Plus, who doesn't need a mom's night out?
Absolutely.
I mean, let's just be honest about that.
Absolutely.
Another thing that we touched on was when, and in a good way, when your spheres start to overlap and how great that can be for your kids to see too. So we just mentioned some personal examples, but what we're getting at here is that sometimes you might see all of a sudden people from maybe that sport your child is in, or that group you belong to, or your church or your school, that are then coming and uniting under a common cause of supporting each other, which is really great. And it's really sweet to see when it happens with your own kids. And it's so amazing when you maybe have people from different areas of your own life who come and go to their shows or watch them present or participate in coming to one of their concerts or a performance they have even at the end of a summer camp or something like that. Just seeing that really sets your kids up to say, wow, a lot of people care about me. And when they show up for you in that literal way, I'm going to fill a seat, be here in the audience, you develop this trust that they're going to show up for you in that figurative way when you're maybe going through a struggle or need someone to talk to or vent about your mom, like you said too. Sometimes our kids need to vent about us to somebody.
Absolutely. And I think, coming back to that future-focused mentality that's so important to us and the idea of raising adults, what then happens is we have built community for our children. We've encouraged them to see the community around them. They begin to benefit from that community with this kind of cross-pollination, I think you called it. I love that. But then as they launch into adulthood, they now know what to look for. This is how I build community. I've seen it's been modeled for me. These are the type of people I want in my life. I want people who are going to show up both physically and figuratively, and I know what that looks like because I've had it as a kid. And so it comes all the way full circle to that future-focused, raising adults mentality. When we build community for our kids and they reap the benefits of that community, they now understand how to go and build that community for themselves, which is going to, for most people, make them feel like they belong, make them mentally healthy and emotionally healthy as well.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you brought up, again, that sense of belonging. We fleshed that out a little bit more on today's episode, but kids do need to feel that they matter and that they belong. And when we create community for them, it kind of helps them then learn to do it eventually on their own. And I'm about to launch a person, and I hope that she's had some really great support around her and now will know how to seek that out for herself. So it is this, we love modeling, and we love this idea that the parents are the first and best example of what they're hoping their kids will eventually do as young adults. And this is just one other area where that's so true.
And I think it's important to remember that lots of kids don't feel like they belong in school. This is a common thing that kids are dealing with. So we want to make sure that they understand, I may not feel like I belong here, but these people I belong with. People have got my back. It might not be everywhere, but there are places where people have got my back, where I belong, and that's what community does for them.
Yeah, they really need to know that. So we're hopeful that this video show notes has been helpful to you and that you'll take advantage of the full episode where we flesh these ideas out even more. And some good things to know, if you have questions or comments ever about an episode, we really like that. We're literally here in a laundry room. So we take listener questions and make them into what we've called a spin cycle. And it's been really a fun experience, not only because it lets us know what's on your mind and maybe something we should have addressed that we didn't, or a different angle maybe that we didn't approach, but I think it's also been good for our listeners because they might have had that same question. So please, if you have questions or insights for us, please reach out to us, info@futurefocusedparenting.com.
And follow us on Facebook or Instagram at Raising Adults Podcast and Future Focused Parenting. Thanks so much for watching these video show notes. We hope you found them useful. Don't forget, you can sign up for that attribute of the month, futurefocusedparenting.com. You're going to hover over the shop tab and you'll see the drop-down menu, the attribute of the month. It's completely free. It's filled with great ideas of how do we teach kids initiative? How do we model it well? What do we need to be doing differently as parents to encourage and foster that initiative? What are some activities to do with your kids? What are some great books you can be reading with them? It's just full of great information, and it's totally free.
And what I love is Kira and I collaborate on the attribute of the month, and her contributions this month, amazing. I'm serious. If you haven't signed up yet, sign up for this one. She, in particular, really nailed the section about things to talk about as parents. Parent discussion can be hard. Maybe sometimes we don't want to look at an issue we're dealing with, or maybe we're not modeling a particular area well. Her questions, oh my goodness, amazing. So get it. Get the attribute of the month. I almost said initiative of the month. Although, please have initiative this month. We hope you will.
Go get it. Thanks for watching.